Hello, everybody. We are back again. It is myself, Pat, from Super Mechanics. We got Dave from Simply Subarus. And this week on the wave, we have Devin from Devin Force Racing. And we are so excited to have you on. We got to meet you at Boxerfest this year, which was just the best experience ever. We had just had Johnny Walker on the podcast, really cool guy. And we had so much fun with him. He took us up on the offer. He flew out. He stayed with us. And because of that and him being such a great person, he introduced us to you. And, you know, we were just so excited when we heard that you were going to be at Boxerfest and we could get to meet you and have the opportunity to have you on. And, you know, we're finally here. So this is really, I mean, Dave and I are just blown away that we're even able to have somebody like you on.
Thanks very so much.
If you guys don't know Devin, she is racing in North American Time Attack, and then now she's starting to look into wheel-to-wheel racing as well. She's got a background in engineering. This year, you guys will be able to see her race again. So, you know, the first thing I wanted to touch on with you is just because it was our first time meeting you was Boxerfest. And I just wanted to get your take on this year. I mean, I was there last year. Dave wasn't. He flew out this year for it. Was there anything this year that you liked? Anything that was different? Anybody you met that was cool? Anything like that?
Yeah. So thank you guys for having me. And we got to say shout out for Johnny. Johnny is go for all this. Yeah. So, you know, Boxerfest is always fun. Like I started going, I think this is only my third one. So I'm still like new to going to it. I feel like every year I go, I meet like cooler people, and like everybody that you knew before, like you start meeting their friends, and then pretty soon I feel like you're gonna know the whole crowd. And I kind of love that. It's like a Subaru family you meet once a year, you know?
Yeah.
I went to the pre-meet this year. I didn't go to the pre-meet before because it always used to follow on Lime Rock. So I'd always race Lime Rock Saturday. Saturday night we pack up and then we get there. So we never like got to do any like the pre-meet stuff and kind of meet more of the community that way. So that was, I know that's not Boxerfest, but it's the Boxerfest pre-meets, and you know, I feel like that counts. And
I missed it last year. And so when you texted me about it this year, we went and we had a great time. The pre-meet at the ice cream place was really cool. Yeah. And what's funny is we had this big mix up with our tent that didn't show up in time. And like we were just missing all the stuff for our booth. And it just was like last minute things that we had to figure out. And so we went from the ice cream shop to the car wash, and I guess we were like the first people there, so there was nobody there. And I was like, perfect, nobody's here. We're going to Walmart. We just ran to Walmart and just started buying everything we needed. We were like, let's go. Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh. At least nobody was there when you went, because when I showed up, it was like all the 86s. I didn't realize it was the 86 only. So they're nice, but like I showed up and then everybody was like, and then me and a couple of my Subaru friends, Chris is in my truck, and they just all looked at us like, what? And then they all left. I was like, hey, you want to hang out? Guys, come back.
So that was the funny thing, was that we went to Walmart and then we went to the hotel and we were meeting some people there. But when we walked out back where everybody was hanging out, it was all 86 people. And I was like, this is not what I thought this was.
Yeah. They were like, well, because they messaged in the Discord and they're like, well, we're not going to say you can't come. And I was like, oh, well, sorry.
Yeah.
We're still Subaru fan, right? No, but they were really cool. They lined up, actually. I forget where they went. They took like a really cool photo where it was like, I don't know, like 50 of them in like color order. It was.
Yeah, I saw that picture. That was amazing.
Yeah. But I don't know. Other than that, like, yeah, I feel like just meeting the community more and more each year is my favorite part, honestly, just connecting with them. And this year was a little different because I actually had like shirts for sale at like Subi Mods. And that's like, that to me, that's so cool. You know, that's so cool to do that. So like being able to engage with people, and then they're like, how can I like get your merch? I'm like, right there. That was insane, you know? So I don't know. That was a new experience.
You know, I gotta say, Subi Mods had the best booth. They had the big igloo set up. Like that was so cool. And you had the prime spot right out front. When you walked in, it was like Devin right there. You know, it was perfect. Yeah, last year I was happy because they had us in that spot for group sponsors that was like, it was on the walk up to the event. And so we weren't really in the main area. So it was cool because I was getting to meet people walking in and out, and they would like stop and we would just talk and stuff. And this year was just like the craziness of being in there with everything else going on. And there's like so many things happening. And it was definitely a new experience, but it was really cool to get to meet a lot of people. So we had a great time. And I love yellow Subarus, by the way.
Yeah.
So when
Those made your day.
when they previewed that, I was like, oh, there it is. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, those were pretty cool. Yeah, we were lucky enough to get a ride with Scott Speed too. And that's
so cool.
Pretty crazy. Because like we've got a lot of ride-alongs, right? And we race ourselves, but like riding along with Scott Speed, even at autocross, I was like, this is amazing. He is amazing. This is awesome.
Yeah. And his car is crazy. That thing looks so sick to ride in. So
yeah. Yeah.
I just, something about the Huckster gets me because I wish I had the active arrow. Like that is just one of the coolest features. And like 2 weeks after Boxer Fest, I was like, how do I do this to my car? Do I get pressure lines and cut metal? And it's just like, there has to be a way.
Yeah, there's a grassroots way to do it. I know it.
I wanted to get your kind of feel on, I know you've been racing Time Attack for a while. You're looking to move into wheel to wheel. So what is it from Time Attack that you have learned from racing so many years and probably one of the big things that you're going to take to wheel racing? And what has you excited to switch over?
Racing Time Attack for a while and then working for like wheel to wheel teams. I've gotten a lot of experience over the years and kind of trying to prep myself for wheel to wheel. I like my car to run the whole session because like I consider myself sometimes a terrible Time Attack driver because I want to go run laps. Like I have fun. But you're really supposed to do like 2 to 3 hot laps, right? And like I do that sometimes too, but sometimes I'm like, nah, I like this track. I'm gonna be out here as long as I can. I don't care, But like the car setup is completely different. Like the strategies are completely different, right? Like you're looking at like, I need something to be as fast as possible. And like you mentioned, like there's not as good of a chance of contact with Time Attack. It's not obsolete, but it's not ideal. Like we're not trying to dive bomb people. The people, I should say, that know what they're doing. We're not trying to dive bomb anybody because the minute you have to pass somebody for Time Attack, your lap's probably bad. It's not good for Time Attack, right? Wheel to wheel, it don't matter. Like that's position, So, the cars, you can put a little bit more aero or you can put maybe a more expensive front bumper. Like Chris and I were going back and forth on the Honda that I'm building of like, well, do I want to do like this 3-piece setup that one of our buddies has on the Honda? No, because he does Time Attack. If I do wheel to wheel, that shit's getting hit and it's going to break. And I don't want to replace it. And you're kind of treating it, for grassroots anyways, you're kind of treating it like a glorified drift car. Like there's going to be a lot of consumables on the body of this car, But yeah, I'm excited, because I've learned a lot working with the teams that I have of how organized I have to be, and just like the strategy of like how you race. Like racing line even changes as you're doing wheel to wheel versus Time Attack. Like I'm going to be a great qualifier. That's awesome,
And something about wheel to wheel and Time Attack, it's like one is like golf and the other one's like ice hockey, right? You have to have that competitive nature of like, this guy's coming up on me kind of thing, like, and you're battling for position and stuff. And it's like, it's a little bit more grit. And I think that like, do you find that you're that kind of person that likes to go head to head with people or? So
it's funny you say that right now, because I just did this like eye experiment as I was driving, because I have a driver coach this year to improve my driving. And he put this like eye stuff on me to like focus on where I'm looking. Well, first thing he asked me after reviewing that footage is like, you do combat sports, right? Because I do jujitsu. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, yeah, you focus on the back of the car a lot, like it's going to come at you or you're going to go at it. Like you need to be focusing past it. Like when I start getting up on somebody and I get excited, I'm like, I'm coming up on this person. I'm like chasing them. I'm pumped. But then I'm like, wait, no, that's not, you got to help me with Time Attack right now. Okay. I need to back off. So I do find like, I've always been excited about wheel to wheel because I have fun chasing my friends. And like sometimes when a couple of me and my friends, we know we're not really doing well out there, it's lap 6, our tires are gone. We like roll race on the straight and go into it with each other. Like, can we both go too wide here? Like, we just play and it's so fun. And sometimes on Time Attack, I like lose my aggression when I'm not like going after somebody. That's a bad habit I have. I get comfortable and I'm like, yeah, I'm going fast. And I'm like, oh no, I was going slower. But when somebody's in front of me, I'm going fast.
Yeah.
I just see you being the same kind of aggressive driver on a go-kart track, and it's like, come. And then next thing you know, the person tries to break into the corner. You're like, no, move out of my way. And you push them out of you push them into the corner. You're like, nope, coming through.
Yeah. It's we've done it a couple times, or they hit me and then I'm like mad. Yeah.
What would you say is a racetrack you're really excited to race in wheel to wheel versus like time attack?
Oh, well, honestly, the track that's going away, 2 tracks. Road Atlanta being my home track. I love it. But then Pit Race, that's going away. Like I am obsessed with Pit Race. My first year racing it, unfortunately, was last year. And I was like, this is the most underrated track. Why do people not talk about this track more, And I was so excited to go wheel to wheel on this one, man. So I just have to, I don't want to say take Road Atlanta, but take Road Atlanta,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of success in Atlanta, so it's really cool that you get to go back there and race that again. Something that is what you just touched on is tracks going away is, it was a really sad day when Englishtown disappeared. And, I used to drag race there all the time. And, being that somehow I always end up working in the Ford realm, even though I literally do Subaru only, somehow I always end up racing Fords. And that was huge. I mean, I used to work at a performance shop where we were doing a lot of lightnings and a lot of these lightning guys, they have this community where they all are like 85-year-old men who are literally arguing on Facebook groups and like trying to beat each other. And my favorite is that they get to the point where like they really shouldn't be racing anymore. And,
you're concerned.
So they start to get younger people to drive their cars, and then they're still talking crap to each other. It's just amazing. And
the vibe.
And when Englishtown went away, they lost a little bit of that. Like the hometown crowd that loved that, and then Atco slowly after that. And it's like now Island, which thankfully is like 20 minutes from me, is like one of the last ones in New Jersey, even though it's got a short track. So the circuits that Grid Life picks, they have a lot of good picks, and there's a lot of cool places you get to race and travel. Something that happened recently for Dave and I is we had Ethan Hunter on, who he races Pikes Peak, he races Rally, he touches in a bunch of different areas. And something that he offered to Dave was to be a co-driver in his rally car.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
And so, being that you come from this background, I was curious on what your take would be, advice that you would have for somebody like Dave who gets an offer like this. Dave is never co-driven. You get an offer to be on a rally team and go hit the track for a year, and a little bit about the life racing balance that I'm sure you've become accustomed to. So,
yeah. Well, my first thing would be like, are you dyslexic? Because you need to get that out of your system. Because I am. Like I struggle with left and right and then normal basis.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, I'm that way. I'm sorry, So if you're that person, maybe that's not your role there,
I feel like you have to stay calm too. I'd be like, right, left. It's like
the biggest thing that was conveyed to me though is he asked me. He said, "How would you be about reading a book when you're the passenger of a car?" And I said, I get car sick. And he said,
okay.
Unfortunately, the bigger logistics for me of running a small business right now is I have a lot going on, and inherently I'm working to purchase the building that we're in right now. So unfortunately, I had respectfully declined, but I was beyond intrigued.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of it. That's what I was going to say. If you have, that's why I feel like a lot of this works for like younger kids or people that have their kids out of the house even, it's just when you have a little bit of less responsibility or you want to make that your full-time gig, I would say go for it. Because when I've been trying to balance working for pro teams and work my way up the ladder, because like my goal one day was to be an engineer at IMSA. And I very well still might do that, but I don't want to give up my career, my actual career. Or my racing. And like for 1 year I tried to do all three, like working, on a race team, trying to also intern as like an engineer and then do my job and then my racing. and then Chris and I were long distance at the time too. So I think about lost my mind, and I figured out that I can't do it all. And then my hobbies, forget it, I think like you have to prioritize what you want to do, because trying to balance that, your career or your shop, and that something's going to give, we're not getting younger, that we keep managing like the no sleep cycle that it takes to do it all, but whenever you get to a position where you can, I would definitely say go experience it. Cause like motorsports, yes, you need experience, but like people are happy to teach you. Like there's been so many situations I've been thrown in. They're like, you kind of do this, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not a mechanic. Like I'm like a YouTube mechanic at best. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's the mechanic, Chris isn't here, but they're like, well, it's nuts and bolts. Yeah. And so can I do the same job they can do? Yeah. It'll just take me like 4 hours. It takes them like 10 minutes. You know what I mean? So, yeah. but they were happy to teach me. They're like, well, we need a person. Are you willing? Absolutely. And then they teach me what to do. Now I know how to do it, and it's just motorsports has just been always so great with that. Like they need help. You're willing to learn. They need a body. They're going to help you. And I think that's what's so cool about it. That's why I would say go for it. If you weren't in the middle of your shop situation, you can experience it. You can learn anything is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Even if you don't know how to be a co-driver, they'll probably teach you, and they'll be more than happy to either give you lessons. Like I've wanted, like I said, I wanted to be like a DAG or an engineer for like certain race teams. And I've set up calls, and they just like certain engineers made calls with me, and we went over like the book of the whole car. Like, so if I want to do a DAG, here's like the steps for like a Super Trofeo or something, it was awesome that I was able to get like training just by asking, so that way I kind of know what's going on there.
Are there any doors that racing has opened for you? Like any cool opportunities that you got to jump on, or offers that came across that you just had to take?
I feel like doors with working with, like just like professional teams, with like Porsche, a couple opportunities with Trans Am, Super Trofeo, things like that have been like crazy to even just like, talk to these people, have training from them, or even just like intern with them. I've met, that's always been something I've always wanted to like do without giving up my career, but the fact that I was racing and just at the track, like meeting these people, they were literally like, yeah, you can come intern for us. And then eventually it leads to like a paid gig. And that has been like such crazy doors for me where I like you, Dave, I've had to like step away to get my house in order, a little bit, but the fact that I was able to do it, like I killed myself to do it, but like it was really cool, and I think also like racing, there's like the influencer side sometimes where you kind of get like these cool experiences because they want you to make content off of stuff. That's been insane sometimes when that happens. They're like, yeah, let's go to the Petit Le Mans and look upstairs at this like top deck and watch this race. I'm like, I didn't even know you could get up here, dude. And they have like a suite. And I was like, oh, this is what it's like. Because I've only worked crew or raced. So I didn't know this is what we do up here, We're having a drink, watching us air conditioning.
Yeah.
But yeah, so things like that. And, being able to obviously go to SEMA, doing social media for SEMA. There's a lot of different things that I never thought would happen because I'm not a normal influencer, should I say? I'm an engineer. I'm weird, right? And so I just never thought that would be something that racing would kind of open up that avenue for me to kind of be like an educator influencer is what I like to call myself. I like to so many cool experiences and so many cool people that I just keep going with what I can. I try not to bite off too much more than I can chew anymore. Like I did that in my 20s. Like now I'm like, okay, that's a lot of flight. I don't recover the same anymore.
Yeah.
Because of my work, I get to work with next engineers. And then because of my racing, I kind of have biasly started this thing where I do like a class on race cars, right? And what they're learning in school and how it relates to race cars. And that's why I started doing the Explain It Like I'm 12 series, because that's what I come in and do for these kids every summer. And then more than that, if they let me. But so my partners send me in these car parts and like they're sometimes cut up and I can show them like, hey, this coilover, for example, these springs, they're like your sneakers. They're different, like spring rates, and this will give you a different comfort level. This is how it like compresses. Here's Hooke's law that relates to it, right? You're learning about that right now. And they're like, oh, I'm like, this is, and then I show them like this crazy slammed Miata, right? And then it having body roll. And then I show them like this minivan. I found this funny clip online of it like bouncing up and down a lot. And it just shows the extremes. And then I go to like show them the cool car noises. when half these kids tell me they've never heard a blow off valve, I'm like, let me play this video then.
No,
they're blown away. They're like, I mean, half of them. Some of them just aren't into cars, and that's fine. But the ones I hear it, they're like, whoa. I'm like, yeah. So let's talk about turbos. You know, and I relate it to their math classes because, like, when I was in school, I got by. I didn't care. I could get an A if I wanted to, but I didn't know why. Why are we talking why Susie has 8 apples and we're dividing it by no care. But if I explain, like, no, that formula is actually how you can solve for this variable that we care about when we're solving for spring rate. I talk to them about how it relates to racing, or just like how, you know, like we talked about with like normal transportation, like how we can get like driving smoother or like save gas mileage even, you know, and things like that by getting through the air quicker. And you're like, oh, okay. You know, and I bring up the example for the Audi TT back in like the early 2000s, you know, how we had to put a spoiler on it because people that were going over like 110, like were lifting the car, you know, and just explaining why these little things, if you don't like race cars, these little motorsports things in automotive, how it relate, you know, and they start getting it. And it's so cool to see like the looks on their faces. And then I'm fortunate to have some race car friends that show up with a really cool ride and let them rev it, and they start piecing it together. So I'm very biasly putting this in their brain. Like, I'll tell you though, the last class that I had, I was nervous for the last couple because like almost none of them drove a manual or even know what that was. But the last class, half of them knew what a manual was, and then half of them have tried to drive it, and they weren't very good at it, which I don't care. The fact that they're trying, I'm like, yes, we have hope.
We met someone online, this guy Niraj, who he is attempting to be the first person to 3D print an EJ engine and run it in a car.
Oh.
He's very close. He has the whole thing planned out. He custom built his own 3D printer. He got the right, stuff that he needs to actually build the block and put it together. And so he's keeping us updated as he goes along building this thing. Some of the things that he's battling right now is cooling, because it's a lot denser and it gets a lot hotter and the heat dissipation is kind of tough. So he's thinking of kind of floating coolant over the pistons and going back to like an older style of race engine, how they used to cool things. Being that you're an engineer, I just want to know your take on something like this, and if you think this is something that would be viable for the future of racing.
That's really cool. But I start thinking of the process. I'm like, okay, well then how are you repeating this process for somebody? And then how are you dealing with the tolerances? And then I'm just like, what's your quality checks? I'm just thinking about like, you know, what machines are you going to have in your garage that you can like finish the machining for this? And so I go a little far with it. It's not impossible. I think that's like super cool. And it's very doable. I just think that that's going to take a lot of time to make sure like you have some kind of repeatable process that, or even just a process that, you know, works, you know.
Yeah.
That it'll take a little bit of time. I'm thinking about that, you know, and then you got to make sure the material that you're using, isn't going to crack, and there's a lot that goes into it.
If it ever becomes viable and something that is possible, you know, you can machine a block, you can make it work. It's the fact that you don't have to rely on a casting that is set the way it is.
Yeah. Yep.
You can do anything you want.
And then since he already has, like, I don't want to say it's a standard work of operations just yet, but like since he has something like that, that's great. That's already like cutting out like the things I'm kind of thinking of. Like, he already has steps that we can kind of just build off of and keeping like continuously improving off of that, you know. And having that makes that more attainable, you know, for more people to potentially do it. It gives people more of a chance instead of having to also rely on only a certain amount of shops that can afford to do the current process right now. That I think that makes it a lot more attainable to the regular consumer, I should say, because super engines aren't cheap.
And I would say that brings up like just a quick immediate shout out to the right to repair, which I think everyone here full-heartedly would support.
That's where I think, you know, being able to 3D print this and having this kind of process already sorted out, that'll give everybody a potentially more even playing field. So that makes that exciting, honestly.
Dave and I were talking about the future of Subaru and the EV route that they're going and things of that nature. And we were just kind of curious on your take on that and anything that you've heard, being that you race any kind of electric rally or any kind of electric time attack or anything that's kind of in the mix? Are you an EV person? What's your take on it? Do you think it's coming to racing? That whole thing.
I think there's a time and a place for everything. I think there are some places where EVs have a purpose, like public transportation, maybe even like a hybrid for a commute car. But for me, racing is where I personally draw the line. When we have like some of the Teslas run at grid lights, and not to say that they're not fast and it's not cool, but then you just hear only the tires. For me, I'm over it. Like the whole reason I got into cars is because I heard that GTO crank up, right? And then I heard turbos and I heard the lops. I've heard the Boxer engine. Come on, man. Like I want to hear the noises. I want to hear the blow off valves. I want to hear all the things. So personally, not a fan. It's just for racing because it's so weird. And we laugh at it because like those are the only cars that go out for quiet hour because all you hear is the tires. You're like mid conversation, you can hear everybody, and then you just hear the squealing. You're like, "What was that?" And then it's like, "Oh, there was the Teslas that are out there, bro." It's just not my thing. I'm not saying it can't be cool, but like I said, I think there's a time and place for everything, and I want to hear the engine. I want to hear the cool sounds.
Yeah. You know what? A funny story, I don't know if I've told it on the podcast before, is when I did go out to Shelby, America, and I did get to do the tour, when I walked up to the building, there was a Mach-E outside, and the whole thing was wrapped in Borla. And they had all these Borla ads all over the car. And I was like, that is the most absurd thing ever because it doesn't even have an exhaust, And so I asked my contact there, I was like, what's up with the Mach-E outside? And he goes, Borla supplies the exhaust notes that come through the speakers.
Stop.
And I was like, I'm out. I was just like, God. All right. Stop.
No. The other thing I circle back to is like, I love driving the car. There's already a certain point with some cars that aren't EVs, that are you even driving the car? Again, maybe I'm just getting old now and showing my age at this point. But like, I think I like racing. What you are driving, you're doing that. You know what I mean? It's just something more not only satisfying, but like it just puts you out of the competition. Then it's not. I don't know.
The one thing I appreciate is that now with NARA and everything that Travis Pastrana is doing with trying to bring more stock and normal cars back into rally and giving people a lower price point to jump in. Like, I love that. I think it's great. I think that you're getting people involved that don't feel like, man, I got to spend my whole life savings to compete. Yes. And that's where it starts. And you know what? The biggest thing is that good drivers and even amazing drivers may never even know that they're amazing drivers because they may never even sit in the seat. They may never go down this path. And really all it does is hurt the sport.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you say that because there's a reason I keep my build where I keep it right now too, because we could very well come up with the funding and probably support because I have such amazing partners around me and go that far with the car. But what I like with my car is it's still attainable. People see that and they're like, oh, I can do that. You're only on an access port, bro. What? Like, you still have the air pump in your car, bro? You know what I mean? It's like, and they can see it. And they're just like, wait a minute, like I can actually do that. And I'm like, yeah, you don't have to do a full season. You know what I mean? But you can come out for like a race or two, your car, how it sits. You can go do HPDE. You can go start your journey and work your way up. And like so many people have like started to like do that because they thought they had to have that top car that has a sequential that's super cool. And that's end level. That's like next tippy top of the totem pole, right? But like they forget about all of this down here that you can come play with what you got, and I mean, very simple mods. And we try to keep them to, especially like partnering with CBYs, we try to keep them knowing that you don't have to do a lot to the car to go race at all. Actually, you're not going to win, but that's not what it's about. It's grassroots. You're not winning anything anyways. You're going out there to have fun and race with your friends, race the car that you built. Like how cool is it that you have this cool Subaru that you love and you get to go fast on like a cool track with your friends? You know what I mean? That's amazing. It's so much fun. And we try to keep that message out there, especially when needing partnered with Turn-In. The whole motto is a fun car makes life fun. Dude, yes.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, that really hits the nail on the head. It's like, what are you really out here for? Are you trying to, there's different levels to motorsports, rather, to racing. Are you trying to race everyone else or are you trying to race yourself?
Yeah, exactly. Because good life, you don't have to be good to be there. You have to be a safe, predictable driver. That's it.
It's their first track experience. I mean, that's something to somebody. Their first track experience, when you witness and experience that, and when you share that with somebody, it's magical. Let me tell you.
It's my favorite thing.
Well, I'm the last in points. I'm doing terrible. But when you see this person who is just having
it. My car lost it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's something to be said about what motorsports really brings. It's people together.
Something like the 24-hour of lemons exists. And I just love that a whole community is like, let's go get $500 beaters and let's just go run them for 24 hours.
Yeah.
And whoever's left at the end of it wins some money, and that's it.
Right. Yeah. Amazing.
Devin, you have a 2015 STI, right?
Yes. Yep. With the EJ in it.
At this point, having a race car that's going on 10 years old, and there are no new STIs coming out. Is that a factor in you sticking with what you got? Are you waiting for a new STI model, or do you plan on sticking with this car long term, or any build plans, anything like that?
Well, I mean, I really wanted like an 05 or an 07, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that was like long gone, by the time I bought this car. And don't get me wrong, I love her, but like, I'm not waiting for a new STI. I like the old ones, dude. The ones that are fun. I would love to see the STI continue as an STI, but I think unfortunately it's going to go to an EV, and it's just, I think the STI should always have a box rumble. I'm just going to say it. It should, my opinion. And so I'm not looking forward to new ones. It's going to make me sad. Are they going to be super cool when they go like really fast, like quickly? Yes, but it's not an STI that I want personally for me. With the Subaru right now, I don't think I'll be doing any more upgrades to it, just because I want to still make it attainable, like I was talking about with earlier. I want to show people that you don't have to do a lot to it. I say that knowing that we have a fully built motor, but you don't need to have that. I've had many years of racing without a fully built motor, just supporting mods to make sure we don't fuel starve and things like that. I find it fun. And right now we're actually at a horsepower level and a maintenance level to where the car isn't super annoying to work on anymore. I mean, there are little things that are failing, like power steering pump. I like these little things versus like, oh yeah, you have 700 horsepower now. You're worrying about all these heat management and going through all these engines and transes. That's just, I've been there, done that. I'm good. I'm so good. Like, I love having it. A lower maintenance car, and that's why I'm building a Honda also, because I keep hearing how they're super low maintenance.
What percentage of influence did Chris have in this decision to go down the Honda route?
Oh, it was my anniversary gift. There was no choice.
So I'm hearing 100%.
All good for that. Yeah. She already has 5 in the garage. What's done more, at this point. But I mean, I did want a car I could go wheel to wheel with. When I got my comp license in my Subaru, it was the most terrifying thing to me, because you see how much aero I have on that thing. And when I've hit the wall in that car before, replacing certain body panels and things like that, even the freaking headlight is so expensive. And then like the Honda boys go off and they're like, yeah, I'm going to a junkyard tonight, $50. And I'm like, there's nothing on the car that's $50. That also, as I'm going wheel to wheel, I've tried to consider that. Like, I would love to do like a Subaru. It just, even if I go like an older Subaru, how am I going to fix that? There's much more Honda parts out there that are easier to replace than a Subaru. And I rather just keep this one nice and pretty in my fast car and then get shit out of the Honda.
The AutoZone hood scoops are $10 now. How can they afford that? Yeah.
You're pricing out the whole car, and it's like, I have a build list of everything that we need to get, and it's just like, I've thought about like talking to my partners about building a wheel-to-wheel Subaru for a long time. And then just like, for me to do it right, I basically want another car that I can pull off of at any time, because if you're going to do wheel-to-wheel, one thing I've learned, you have a sports car essentially, because it will go wrong. And I just can't find that with like a 15 STI that makes sense affordably, to where I'm like, I want to keep doing that. So, I know people give Subaru a lot of crap, but I don't think they're that hard to maintenance. I know everybody gives the head gasket thing. I'm like, it's funny, but it's not that bad. Just take care car and do the right supporting mods, you're okay.
If you look at a lot of the Subaru bolts, and I'm sure you've experienced this, but a lot of the Subaru bolts have a taper on the end of the bolt. The reason why Subaru has that is its carryover from their rally pedigree. That's a fast way to put that bolt onto an impact and just drive it right in, and it automatically starts.
I love it. Oh my goodness. I wish they would keep saying with like that passion of like the rally and the stuff like that. 'Cause that's so cool. I love that.
When I got my 19 WX from Washington State, it showed up with no cats. It was a straight pipe extreme TI. And I was like, what is this thing? And I got it and I was like, nope. So I went over to my buddy Dan at Flat Out, and he was like, we're going to put a map performance head or high flow cats on this thing, and we're gonna fix this, Right.
So
it sounds better now, but it's kind of crazy to me how with the equal length headers and the setup that I have, it sounds like a turbo diesel when you get in it. Like, just the noises that it makes, I'm like, this is not the same.
When you had to go to equal length, were you sad?
Very sad.
It's like unequal length? Yeah. That was one of my saddest things to give up for racing. When I hear everybody at Boxer Fest and they have their unequal length, I'm like, keep it as long as you can. This sounds amazing.
I know. I almost want like a second, like just a beater that just makes those noises. Like,
if only there was like an electronic diverter valve, for like a dump valve. It could give you like equal versus unequal. I know that sounds insane. It's not possible. But like, if you could, in a perfect world, if you could do that, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
But Dave, if you had a Mach-E, you could just download the Subaru Burble,
the audio
and just
files,
bump it through the speakers.
So one of my friends did a prank. He like downloaded fart noises on this one car. Yeah. And
oh my gosh.
I guess it's the fun thing about you can do all kinds of noises.
Something that we ask everybody who comes on the podcast is we have a experiment running that we started when we started the podcast. Dave has a Subaru Baja with around 200K on it, and we have filled it with canola oil.
Why?
We are running a contest to see how long it will run. And at 3,000 miles, we're going to do an oil change on it and see what happens.
Wait, it's running right now?
It's running. Yeah. We have...
It's about 500 miles in. No signs of metal, no knocking, nothing.
I tried to convince Dave to let me drive it to Boxer Fest. I was going to fly out to Colorado and do 2,000 on it, but...
That would have been incredible. I feel like if somehow... what is the velocity of that?
I just bought Crisco.
I mean, okay. I guess like for maybe daily driving somehow, if that's a thing, because you could not race on that. There's not a chance on a built motor. Daily driving, you might be honest. That's insane.
We're at 500 miles in. Actually, last time I checked, it was like 532. So for anyone who's following this saga, we're at like 532. And again, no knocking. No, I actually drove it around from the front of the shop the other day. I had to move it on the front of the back, and it started up, drove fine.
Does it smell?
Like fried chicken?
Yeah. No, so it's not like fried chicken. It's kind of, I wouldn't say fried chicken, but it's a good question, interesting question. And you're the first one to ask, but I did actually make a point to stand behind it and smell the exhaust. It does not smell normal. But it's not like canola. It doesn't smell like the oil itself. But like,
you're gonna drive by a fast food place and be like, "That's it. That's what it smells like."
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't figured it out yet, but I know that's what it has, a unique smell, and it's not like it normally smelled, and it's still running.
Yeah, well, with you being in Colorado, you're gonna run into like I don't know when canola oil freezes, so that's gonna be a problem for sure.
Yeah.
Good point. We haven't run it through winter. We started this in the summer, so we'll see.
How this all began is that we were doing some research, and in World War II, the warships used to be run on canola oil, and the engines ran it. So Dave and I were trying to find the canola oil that they used back then, and we couldn't track it down. But what we found was that canola oil consistently is like between a 5W20 and a 5W30.
Wow.
So we were like, this is perfect. You can run it like oil. It basically has a 200-degree boiling temperature, so it's never going to hit that in a car. So as long as you don't overheat and you don't get too hot, I mean, it'll literally run like normal oil.
I gotta be like so curious, like, because I'm not a fluids engineer, but like I feel like with me doing enough testing with some of these people, there's got to be like some kind of like additives like that needs to have in an engine to where it doesn't like break down and hurt the metal, or the fluid starts to do something funny. I'd be so curious for you to have a fluids engineer on here and like pick their brain on that, because they're gonna have a meltdown.
We're gonna send the results into Blackstone.
Yes, do that.
Yeah.
Win or fail, doesn't matter. If it blows up, we're sending the oil to Blackstone. We're not gonna tell them what's in it. We're not gonna say anything. Okay. Yeah. I really hope that Blackstone does not follow this podcast. Can it go 3,000 miles on canola oil? That's the question.
I mean, I think if you daily drive it and you're not going to have any of its breathing temperatures right yet, I don't see why it couldn't if you don't beat on it, honestly, especially knowing like the actual viscosity of it.
You think it'll make it?
Yeah, I mean, I will. Now, will you have like any kind of metal shavings like in it eventually? I don't know. I do want to see like Blackstone's face when they get that in there. Like,
yes.
What?
Yeah.
That's going to be amazing.
I think we should enter in an NA competition and just run canola oil in an NA Subaru and just track it, just see what happens.
I think it'll boil. I think there'll be so many bad things. Like it'll be interesting to see your engine after it also.
Yeah. The main difference is that regular oil is petroleum based. So, when you get vegetable based, who knows? It blows up like a vegetable.
I have a couple ideas also. One is for science. And then two, you could partner with like Liquid Moly or Moltool and like use their stuff that's supposed to clean out the other oil, and like use like whatever it is that's supposed to clean out the other oil, put their oil in, do a test at Blackstone and see what works. Like what actually cleaned out all the canola oil. This could be a fun collaborative opportunity for science.
That's actually perfect. I love that idea.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's all fun. If our Baja engine blows up beforehand, who knows? Who cares? It's just fun and games.
That actually is such a smart idea. Yeah. I love that idea.
That's brilliant. I love that, Devin.
And I work with BG too. So like BG has their own engine cleaner too. So
I love this. Yeah.
Devin, I can't thank you enough for coming on. This has been amazing.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
We're so excited to get to follow you this season and follow you throughout your career, and hopefully have you back on again and get to sit down again. And yeah, I mean, I think that the opportunity to me at Boxer Fest was really cool for us, and we're excited to see you next year when you're back out front again. And we just kind of wanted to ask if you have any races coming up, anything you want to put out, any socials that you want people to follow you on, things like that.
Yeah, so our last race for the championship is coming up in a couple weeks, 2 weeks. It'll be October 17th through the 19th. That's Pit Race. That'll be our last race there, unfortunately. So we'll see if we can stay in the top 10. We're still in the top 10 right now. So that's my goal. We stay in top 10. So we'll be done for the year. I might do a couple car shows here and there just to like hang out with the community a little bit, because, a race car is always a show car. We're actually going to something really fun Sunday. It's called the Pizza Power Tour. It's like a secret event that you get invited to, and you go meet up with your friends at this like what location the organization picks, and you go to all these pizza spots / history spots and take photos, and like it's a couple hours that you go through this like planned out route. So we're doing that with the race car this year. I'm so excited to have it. That'll be cool. I mean, we'll be at FEMA, we'll be at PRI again this year as well. And then just, prepping for a full season again for Grid Life next year.
For anybody that's listening, I mean, this is a really, really awesome time to follow racing with Grid Life, with everything going on with Formula One. Like, there's just so many cool events going on, so many cool races, so many amazing people to follow. And Devin is one of those people that's out there on the grind. She's trying to make it. And we really appreciate the effort she's putting in and showing up to the events like Boxer Fest and bringing the community together. And that's what we're all about. So we look forward to this Honda and seeing what comes out of it. And I think it's going to be cool to see it unveiled. So we're really excited.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate being on. It was awesome meeting you guys as well.
We will see you guys on the next one.
Yes.